Hello and welcome to a big comfy chair. I have been cleaning my house all day, but I decided to take a break to talk about this book that I just finished listening to that I just have a lot of feelings about. So we're just going to be ultra relaxed about this. I have chai, I have a cat, I have no makeup on. We're just going to hang out in this big chair, alright? The last grouping of my videos was very professional looking, well, as professional as I get. So it's time to get back to our roots of coziness. But also let's get back to our roots of me just ranting about a book. Because this book, Kinshi, I'm gonna need you to sit down, alright? I'm gonna need you to chill out. Stop trying to rub your face on my boob. The book is NeverWorld Wake. And we are going to use my tablet to read the blurb as long as Kinshu will settle the frick down, thank you, and let us. Once upon a time, back at Darrow Harker School, Beatrice Hartley and her 5 best friends were the cool kids, the beautiful ones. Then the shocking death of Jim. Their creative genius and Beatrice's boyfriend changed everything. 1 year after graduation, Beatrice is returning to Wincroft, the seaside estate where they spent so many nights sharing secrets, crushes, and plans to change the world, hoping she'll be able to get to the bottom of the dark questions gnawing at her about Jim's death. But as the night plays out in a haze of stilted jokes and unfathomable silence, Beatrice senses she's never going to know what really happened. When a mysterious man knocks on the door, blithely he announces the impossible. Time for them has become stuck, snagged on a splinter that can only be removed if the former friends make the harshest of decisions. Now Beatrice has one last shot at answers, and life, and so begins the NeverWorld Wake. So when I first read that synopsis, I was like, oh, this sounds like my kind of thing. You know that I love a closed-loop thriller, which is where characters are trapped somewhere, and being trapped in an afterlife definitely counts. Or a sort of purgatory. I also foolishly assumed that they were trapped in the house, but that is not true, and I feel that is to this book's detriment. I feel like most of the things that they told us about or promised us in that blurb are either untrue or exaggerated. Let's just go to my notes, shall we? So at first I was like, okay, this reads weird, but maybe it's just because the style is so different from what I normally like. At first I was willing to be like, okay, this is a radically different style, but you know what? It's probably intentional, it's probably really skillful, and I'm just missing it. But the style of this is all tell. This book was nothing but tell. Sure, we see a few things happen, but basically this entire book was just the author just assuring you that yes, this was true. They were friends. Just believe me. They had these experiences. Just believe me. This is how the world works. Just believe me. And for me as an author, I am very much into showing versus telling whenever I can. And maybe sometimes I do a little too much. But never showing at all, I feel like, ooh. I have this mantra when I'm writing or when I'm critiquing someone else's writing. If the author just tells me something that I'm just supposed to believe, I say, prove it. So if I'm reading my own book and I say, she hated him, then going back in my editing, I'll be like, no, prove it. Show me with her body language, with her words, with her thoughts, how she hated him. I was constantly saying, prove it to this book, and it never proved a damn thing. And like I said, at first I thought that it was just a style that was so different from mine that I wasn't getting it. But the further I got in this book, the more I was like, no, I think this is just shitty writing. I think this is just regular old run-of-the-mill shitty writing. The first section of this book is really weird, and I did not expect it. Like I said, from the blurb I thought they were going to be more like stationary and having to talk to each other and deal with character stuff, when in reality, as we'll talk about, this book doesn't give a fuck about characters whatsoever. But in the first section, all of these kids are caught in this Groundhog Day time loop. It's almost exactly Groundhog Day.
Phil's about to find out. He's not just stuck in Puxatawny.
Except for, you know, with death. And the catch is that to escape it, they have to vote on one of them to live and the rest of them will die. Which is a really interesting premise because a lot of times in these sorts of books, it's the other way around. It's choose one of you to die and the rest get to live. So I liked that it was flipping that, but unfortunately this book did fuck all with that. Rather than dealing with each other or having conversations or making me believe that any of these people were ever friends, they all go their separate ways for a while, and we just get to hear the author telling us about what they did the entire time. All of these characters are quirky, TM, and none of them are well characterized. They do not pass for teens. They all seem like 40-year-olds who are trying to talk the way teenagers do in TV shows. This is the way teenagers wish that they talked. They all had the vocabulary and the mannerisms of much older people. And it also gave off this feeling like somebody was trying to write like Joss Whedon, but wasn't doing a very good job. I think this author has written adults until now, and I feel that they have absolutely no idea how to write teenagers. I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they've only written adult things. The world building is intriguing, this NeverWorld wake, this evil Groundhog Day situation. But, like, everything about it is just plopped in your lap. It's like, oh, it's time for you to have this new information. Plonk. There's no art to it. There's no grace to it. It's just like, here you go. None of these characters. Oh, the characters were so bad. These are some of the worst characters I've seen in a long time. There was nothing. Not even the main character. There was nothing. There was nothing to grab onto. Nothing likable, nothing unlikable. They were all just cardboard people. They weren't even cardboard. They were paper. They were paper people. There was only one who had a little bit of personality, and that personality was, is gay, filling out a checkbox. That was it. It's like the author was like, oh, I have a group of teenagers. One of them's probably supposed to be gay, I guess. Like, the book will tell you that they have separate personalities. Like, these two are like the adventurous couple who play a lot of pranks, and this is the gay one who had an abusive mother, and this, I can't remember any of the other ones, quite frankly. Something that just struck me as weird is that the character who has died is called Jim. And I have never heard a single Gen Z person call themselves or their friend Jim.
But I'm not Jimmy Jim, Jimmy Jim, 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 Jim. He's Jimmy Jim, Jimmy Jim, 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 Jim.
Jim is such like a boomer nickname for James. And there's also probably not very many Gen Z called Beatrice, so the names also threw me. Every time they said Jim, I was like, are we 40? If you are a teenager right now, if you're Gen Z and your name is Jim, I'm sorry, but like, what are you doing? The writing style in this book has no flow. It's very artless. There's not really another word for it. The style and the rhythm are always the same, so no matter what situation you're in, the style and flow of the book do not reflect that. So whether the character is just sitting around bored or in mortal peril, it feels the same. It didn't help that the characters never reacted to anything. Like, shit is exploding next to them and they're just like, ho-hum. And I get it. They are living in this Groundhog Day existence where they can't die. But if you want to see where that's done well, definitely look at that Netflix movie, the name of which I can't remember. It's like the old ones or something like that. Anyway, I'm putting it on the screen, so like, go watch that movie. If you want a good example of people who cannot die but still experience things like pain, like, they die horribly and painfully many times, and they don't give a fuck. Like, nobody cares. Also, at one point, they learn to be experts at, like, Navy SEAL levels of, like, breach and clear to go into a police station. They get really good with guns, and they practice with each other until they are a well-oiled team. At least that's what the book tells us, because we don't watch them practice any of this. And they have to keep going into a police station over and over again. And then, after that sequence is over, those skills, that camaraderie, it never comes up again. Trust me. Just from the teamwork that I have to do in my local LARP, you build like bonds and you get better at working together. And their relationship was completely unchanged by literal months of practice and being shot again and again and getting better and better. It's like, what the fuck? I'm just gonna keep saying what the fuck over and over again because this book, it broke my brain. I've written down the main character keeps calling these people her friends, and I don't believe it at all. Now, they are supposed to be kind of estranged. She spent a year away after her boyfriend died. But, like, I don't buy that they were ever friends. I don't buy that they have rekindled their friendship. I don't think these people really know each other at all. They could have just been acquaintances that went to the same school. The only one that she seems to actually be friends with is the gay guy. And they're the only two that ever get any, like, real proper interactions. This book gets very preachy at the end. It suddenly decides that it has a moral, and it is going to drill it into your brain. There's a plot hole at the end that the main character even points out, but never is resolved. It's just like, oh yeah, that is a plot hole, isn't it? Oh well. Sorry, Kinshu, didn't mean to drop the notebook on you. I'm just so upset by this. And like everything else in this book, the setting is flat, the characters are flat, and the ending is flat. There was like no climax. Because nothing ever changes in tone or tempo. The climax happened and I was like, oh, I guess we're at the end. I guess that sequence, which is not too dissimilar from any other sequence, is the end. It's like the author was typing along and was like, oh, alright, time for an ending, and they just plopped it on the page like everything else. This book feels completely devoid of passion. It was like the author was like, you know what, I need a paycheck, so I'm gonna crank out a YA thriller. It can't be that hard. Someone else's review said that this book read like a checklist, and yeah, it didn't feel like a story. It felt like bullet points. It felt like an underwriter's first draft without all the spelling errors. So basically, this was a fail for me. I gave it 2 stars, but it's more like 1.5 stars, and it probably deserves to just be 1 star. But I was feeling generous, I guess. Because part of me still wonders if maybe it's just so different in style that I'm not getting it. Because otherwise that means that somebody published a book that was this poorly written. And that makes me really sad because I put a lot of effort into making my craft better at every opportunity. And it's like, cool, I guess you don't actually need skill. Oh, I'm very salty. I think it's because I've been cleaning all day and I hate doing that. But I hope you like a super salty, ranty review, everyone, because that is what you have gotten today. If you like this sort of review, I have more here on my channel, so go check them out. Some of them I'm even wearing makeup and put in actual effort. But much like the author of the book, I'm not putting in effort today. Not for this. Not for this. I wish I got a paycheck out of this too. If you want to help me out with that though, go watch more of my videos and like and comment and shit. Before we finish out, I do have a couple of book recs for you to read instead of this book. If you are looking for a YA closed circle thriller all about friends, a mysterious murder, all of the, the popular girl, the geeky one, all of them, the breakfast club of teenagers trapped somewhere, one of them is a murderer, then I recommend All Your Twisted Secrets. It's a flawed book, but still an enjoyable one. And if you want something that's like Groundhog Day plus murder, I recommend The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I believe I have reviews of both of these on my channel, but check them out before you bother with NeverWorld Wake. Also, you can support me on Patreon, where all of your donations go towards helping me self-publish my own books. Books such as The Wolf and the Hawk, where I at least try with my craft. I'm not saying I'm masterful, but I try. All the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo down by the cat, who is finally falling asleep, even though now I have to get up and go back to cleaning. And I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
Steve, Kit, Hidden Glade, Persephone, Light Julie, OS, Anna, Belle, Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, Sarah, Lennox, and Merween. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.